are good peeps.
Good peeps.
Good people.
Welcome to the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate, brought to you by Fantasy Focused and the Original Hooters. I am Sam Holt, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Derek Tate. Derek, how the hell are you on this gorgeous Saturday?
It's called Speculation Saturday, baby, because for a reason, we have the NFL free agency on the horizon. It seems like the rumor mill's starting to churn up just a little bit, Sam, but I'm doing fantastic. I've had my coffee. I've got my Bud Light seltzers right here, ready to go for our drinking word today, which is Tom Brady.
Tom Brady has to be the drinking word for today. Has to.
So if it's just Brady, we're good. But if you say the name Tom before you say aforementioned word Brady consecutively, we're screwed.
What about Timothy Brady?
Tim Brady, fine.
The classic Tim Brady. But yes, I mean, I think that the rumor mill and I think that all news outlets for football are just getting a little restless because we're just so anxious for free agency to break, for the draft to happen, and for us to finally get to have, sink our teeth into the potential of what is the 2020 season.
I know that because for some of my sports anchor work, I was doing stories on Tom Brady when he would post Instagram posts that were cryptic, and I would make that newsworthy. Yeah. So yes, I am waiting for some of these dominoes to fall. We actually had a couple dominoes fall, but you're going to go ahead and tell us about that here in just a couple moments, right?
Absolutely. Now, real quick, just quick news. I mean, top of the news things, as we talk about trying to find news on a very low news week. Quick question for you to tee this up. Is it ever a good idea to bring a gun to an airport?
No.
No?
I don't. Yeah. I mean, no, absolutely not. I mean, that's about as indictable as saying bomb on an airplane. Have you ever seen Meet the Parents? It sucks.
Yeah. Just don't say bomb on an airplane. Bomb, 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 bomb. But Quinnen Williams of the Jets was arrested for having a gun at LaGuardia Airport. So, I mean, he had a concealed carry permit when he was
in Alabama.
In Alabama, but New York doesn't recognize those gun permits in there from other states. So, I mean, just why would you need to bring it?
You're going to the airport. I mean, I understand LaGuardia Airport can be a little bit rough at times, but sure. I've never needed to pull out a gun. So,
no, not so much.
And who's gonna? I mean, I get it. You're strapped. You have protection, and you have a right to carry arms. And he had a concealed weapons permit, which is good because he's going through the proper channels. Yeah. But you're going to an airport. I mean, come on. I mean, like, it makes me feel like quoting the movie Liar Liar and say, "Stop breaking the law, asshole."
It's my favorite quote, and it's so applicable to some of these NFL players. When you're just like, "Come on, just think it through a little bit further." Like, or maybe
I don't like Quinnen Williams. I don't think he's like a bad guy or anything like that. Again, He did have a permit. It's just, I mean, common sense. I mean, why would you bring a gun to an airport?
Just don't. Yeah. It's the same thing. Like, leave your flamethrower at home. Just buy one when you get there. Like, it's going to be fine. You don't need one for the plane ride. It's going to be okay.
Did you ever see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I still haven't.
Okay, well then you triggered something right there, but I'm not going to go ahead and spoil the movie for you. Just watch it.
Oh, is there a flamethrower in that movie? Because I totally need to see it then.
That's not what I'm talking about, but yeah, just watch it.
Love me a good flamethrower in a movie. It's fantastic. But thanks for joining us, guys. As always, if you have any questions, comments on the show, please post them and we will talk about them. Alex, thanks for joining us. Good morning. He did not know you were a Bucs fan. Will OJ Howard get traded?
No, I don't think he's going to get traded. I mean, would it make sense if, any player can be had for the right price? And Howard has been a major disappointment during his NFL career, with the exception of, I think it was 2018, where he had a couple big plays. He seemed to be vibing with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Mm-hmm. But yeah, for the most part, I still think that they're kind of married to OJ Howard because his value has to be incredibly low right now. So no, I think Bruce Arians is going to run it back one more season with OJ Howard.
Yeah, I think so. And it's funny because I do think that when you think of biggest disappointments, OJ Howard is pretty high up on that list.
Passed on Dalvin Cook for him.
God, that hurts.
Yeah, no shit. It's a Bucs life. Thanks.
It's a Bucs life for you.
Thanks for joining us, what makes you think I'm a Bucs fan, Alex? Come on.
Tim Westby, good morning and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. And Will Jenkins, as always, what up? So good to have you. And thanks for always giving our PR and giving it out, spreading the news of the fantasy debate and all the fantasy focused episodes. We appreciate you, Will.
All right, boys, let's do this. Willie Jenkins. What do we got on today's bracket?
All right, so we're going to run through a couple players that are rumored to be landing a few places. Some people that got extended and what we feel that means for the rest of their offensive players on that team. And just, some teams are in the waiting game as far as making decisions on some of their big players. So we're going to talk about a couple of those guys. Let's go ahead and kick it off with the biggest domino to fall and who I hope we don't have to keep talking about in speculation too much longer, Tom Brady. Just has been in multiple dynasty drafts these last couple weeks. You see so many Patriots players plummeting in stock because the rumor mill is that he is going to be on the move. But what if he does stay in town? Kind of makes those picks pretty amazing, taking Julian Edelman super late in any of those drafts, doesn't it?
If you're going through a dynasty startup draft, or even if you're crazy enough to be having like a redraft right now, which you'd be psycho to be
Some
doing.
people like to party, Derek. Don't judge them.
I mean, I'm all for fantasy football all year long, as it doesn't involve the XFL. But when it comes to Brady and the New England Patriots, the one thing you can know, if he does go back to New England, you know that James White's a top 25 PPR running back. You know that Julian Edelman is likely going to come back. And if he's healthy, he's a top 20 to 25 PPR wide receiver, just based on the familiarity and Brady's tendency to check the ball down at this point in his career and finding the matchup that he likes on opposing defenses. I mean, that's what you can take to the bank. But I'll ask you, when it comes to, there's no debating that Brady is one of the best to ever do it, and he could certainly help with his pure decision making. Can help a contender get over the hump potentially, even at the age of 43, because of his decision making at the quarterback spot. But does that equal fantasy success? I mean, if he goes to Los Angeles, where they just re-signed Austin Eckler, which we'll talk about in a second, and they've got Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Hunter Henry or whatever. Mm-hmm. Does that really help any of the fantasy outlook for those players? Let's just put on our speculation hat here, our tinfoil cap, and ask, does that really help any of those pass catchers?
I mean, I don't think that it necessarily hurts them horribly because, I mean, they're moving on from Phillip Rivers, but I don't think that it completely tanks their value because, again, with someone like Brady at this point in his career, I've always said that he's one of those people because I talk to people about who should I draft? Should I take Tom Brady as a quarterback in my redraft league? And I always say no, because it's just the volume. Yes, is he consistent and incredibly accurate? He's a smart player, but that means he doesn't have to throw the ball as much. If he looks at the play and doesn't like it, he's not going to throw the ball. So as far as volume goes for those players, they might not see it. They might be more efficient. They might have maybe a couple more touchdowns. But as far as overall, yards, catches, PPR points that you really want, I don't know that you're going to get them.
Same thing with the Tennessee Titans. I think it's a good point. Brady wants to win at this point. Yeah. And he's going to go somewhere that he gives himself, I believe, the best chance to contend for a Super Bowl. I mean, that's what he's playing for at this point. He's already got the numbers. He's got all the accolades. I mean, he's the most accomplished quarterback in league history. Yeah. But when you put him on, like, say, the Tennessee Titans, too, again, tinfoil hat. A.J. Brown on the outside, Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, and then a slot machine and Adam Humphries working out of the slot. I mean, and then we didn't even bring up, Derrick Henry.
That guy.
That guy. And the offensive line that he plays behind, and not to mention the familiarity with Dion Lewis coming out of the backfield and a poor man's version of James White. So, but does Brady make that offense that much more potent? Do you like A.J. Brown more or less if it's Brady under center as opposed to Ryan Tannehill?
I actually like A.J. Brown a little bit less.
Humphries is the one that gets the biggest boost to me.
Yeah, he is, because the whole field is going to be opened. But No, I agree with you. I feel like AJ Brown takes a dip for me there just because Tannehill had so much volume with him this past season. And I think that's going to be, for fantasy purposes, something that is not a boon to fantasy owners. But as far as Brady going in the right system to win a Super Bowl, I think he has a really great chance with the Chargers with all the weapons there. Like we just said, Mike Williams, we got Austin Eckler just got re-signed, and who we can talk about next. Hunter Henry, they've just got so many weapons that really help stretch the field for him and who he can target and who have great hands. And I mean, I feel like as far as the Chargers were last year and how Philip Rivers' accuracy has had issues over the years and just completely blown out, overthrown passes to his people, they're going to succeed really well with someone who can get them the ball every time.
Well, Rivers, prior to last year, Rivers was, chronically like a 40 or 4,000 yard passer, 28 touchdown passes. I mean, he was lived as a top 15 fantasy quarterback. Could Brady come in and at least mirror that type of production? I'd say yes. I don't know if he bumps it up significantly anymore for like a guy like Keenan Allen, who had that just incredible second nature chemistry with Philip Rivers, similar to something like Brady had with Edelman. But I'll say the most ridiculous one we've heard about Tom Brady has to be him going to San Francisco. I get it. He grew up in the Bay Area, idolized, and his favorite team was the San Francisco 49ers. His idol was Joe Montana. I mean, storybook kind of ending if he goes back there and tries to compete for a Super Bowl, obviously, but it makes no damn sense. Like zero, none.
It makes zero sense. Absolutely, probably the stupidest rumor I've heard so far would be him going to the Niners. Yeah, we went to the Super Bowl, and now we're going to completely go with a different quarterback and just abandon you, Garoppolo. Like, you look pretty, but no, we're going to go for the other guy. Come on. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
They just signed Jimmy Garoppolo to a big, huge contract. And then this is his first full season as a starter for the 49ers, and he took him to the Super Bowl. I mean, granted, they didn't win the Super Bowl. I mean, and they had a chance to, and Jimmy G didn't play great down the stretch. But you're telling me that, like, you're ready to cut bait with Jimmy G because he lost in the Super Bowl to Patrick Mahomes? I mean,
come on. That's not a smart move. I feel like the Niners are far smarter than that. Like,
I feel like John Lynch, the GM, is way smarter than that. Your boy went to Stanford. He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Go Bucs. And he's done a really good job as the 49ers GM. I mean, you see how talented that roster is. So I just don't see him sacrificing Garoppolo, who I think is ascending and already proven that he's a starting caliber quarterback in the National Football League with possibly a very bright future ahead of him, for a rental in Tom Brady, who probably has 3 years would be stretching it if he were to play to 46. I mean, I don't see it.
No, I mean, I don't either. But I actually just thought, I mean, and bear with me here because this is going to be a little bit random, but what if, I mean, I know that it's really hard for NFL teams to repeat, obviously, go back to the playoffs. And like most basketball teams that can kind of duplicate it, come back, and then you see them right in the mix again, just because there's so many pieces that move. But the LA Rams had a really bad slump post Super Bowl loss. Could we see that happening with the Niners this time around? Could they be overthinking it? I think that the Rams overthought a lot of things the following season. Oh, well, we got to make sure that we save Todd Gurley. They saved him too much. Like, do you think that there's a potential for the Niners to take a big dip this coming season, just like the Rams did post Super Bowl?
Every season is different. Absolutely. Strictly because look at how tough that division is.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the LA Rams. They represented the NFC in the Super Bowl just 2 seasons ago. And they didn't even make the playoffs this year. You don't think that the Rams and Sean McVay and Jared Goff and Todd Gurley and, the rest of the Rams, you don't think they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder this upcoming season? I mean, and also the 49ers were an inch away with Jacob Hollister on the last play of the regular season to having to play a wild card game instead of having home field advantage throughout the entire NFC playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how competitive that division is with Russell Westbrook, or not Russell Westbrook, Russell Wilson. Man, I'm doing a lot.
I'm sorry. I mentioned basketball and I threw you off. I know.
Damn it.
That was me.
I'm doing a lot of NBA highlights recently. But no, with Russell Wilson, Seattle Seahawks, and then, of course, the Rams. And not to mention, I mean, the Arizona Cardinals, I thought that they looked much better towards the back half of the season.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray in a perfect offense, tailor-made for him. It's going to be a tough division. So could the Niners get got? Absolutely.
They could get got.
They could get got.
Yeah. But all right, so aside from the rumor of Brady going to the Niners, we've talked about him going to the Chargers, going to the Titans. Is there anything else to you that makes sense for him?
I'm not buying the Las Vegas. I'm not buying him going to play with John Gruden. I don't see that happening. I mean, you talk about weapons. They don't really have weapons on the outside. I mean, Darren Waller's nice, but no, I don't see that.
It's not a team he can win with now. It just makes me laugh, though, because when I think Brady's going to go to Vegas, it's like any other star singer kind of going and having, their name up on lights in Vegas just for a month, just to have a show, just to make a couple million. Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can come see Brady down the street. It's going to be amazing. He's only going to be here for 2 months, but he'll be great.
Wayne Newton, Britney Spears,
Aguilera, Lady Gaga, Tom Brady.
Come see Tom Brady
in sequins. Come on.
No, definitely. I don't see it. I don't see that with the Raiders. No offense to John Gruden, who would. I'm sure he would love to have Brady. But I don't see it happening.
I feel like Brady's not quite that level of a sellout. Again, he just wants to win, and he's of that player mindset. I mean, I know Drew Brees was just interviewed recently, and people asked him if they knew what Brady was planning on doing. He says, "I don't know what he's planning on doing. All I can tell you is that I know he wants to win." That's all he can tell you. That's all anyone can say about Brady, is that he wants to win, and he's going to obviously have that mentality of going anywhere he can to get that win and go get that Super Bowl.
And a lot of what I've heard when it comes to Brady, and some folks trying to spin the narrative that you want to try to avoid Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson in the AFC. You want to go to the NFC where the path to the Super Bowl is likely a lot easier. What the hell kind of mindset is that? Have you ever known Tom Brady to try to back away from a challenge? You're talking about the guy that took on Peyton Manning throughout the entirety of his career. And this was prime Peyton. Peyton was Omaha Steaks at the line of scrimmage, shaking down defenses, just reading them like
he was throwing steaks. I don't remember him throwing steaks. That's kind of random.
Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks.
But, yeah, of course.
So, I'm saying you go to the best situation to get you back to the Super Bowl. You're not trying to duck and dodge young up-and-coming superstars. If anything, he's still got a mindset that I'm the top dog. I'm the man. I'm not the top of the mountain, and I'm not giving that shit up without a fight. Yeah. So
you're going to come play through me to get to the top of the mountain.
The only team that I think in the NFC that makes a whole lot of sense, I mean, I've heard the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Bruce Arians, and certainly they have some nice options with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and O.J. Howard and blah, 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 blah. But come on, the Buccaneers don't have the offensive line. They don't have Rojo is like the best running back on the depth chart at the current moment. And Rojo is, he's a competent pro at best. No offense to him, but I mean, I don't see him being like a difference maker as a running back. I think that the Dallas Cowboys would make the most sense in the NFC, but there's no way they're letting go of Dak Prescott. I mean, come on. I mean, I don't see Jerry Jones letting Dak Prescott walk out the door for Tom Brady for 2 years. I think he's hitching his wagon to Dak. And if there's going to be anywhere that Brady goes, it's going to be in the AFC. I think the two front runners got to be the Titans and the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yeah, I think absolutely makes the most sense. And I love that you bring up the point, too, that he's not going to take the easy way. And I think maybe that would be one big reason to motivate him to move. Too easy. I want to challenge myself in my, prime. I mean, would you say, I guess he's prime Tom Brady, but he's still got a lot.
He's 43 years old.
I feel like he's still got a lot left in the tank. Whatever he's doing is working.
Here, he feels like he's got everybody beat. I mean, this is between the ears. I'm still the best. And that's what he genuinely believes. And that's what a competitor does. And that's, whether you like or you hate Tom Brady, you got to respect the fact that the man is doing unprecedented things in the National Football League. I mean, the fact that he's even still at the age of 43 this upcoming season is going to be probably the most sought after free agent on the market. It's just a testament to his greatness. So to hell with that idea of trying to duck and dodge Patrick Mahomes. If anything, I think he wants to make this his last stand. Yeah. And I'm going out on top. I'm going out and I'm coming for my title. I'm coming for another Lombardi trophy. So
yeah. Well, Victor Jays is joining us. Cheers to another beautiful Saturday pod. Good to have you, Victor.
Cheers.
Thanks again for joining us. Let's go ahead and button up that
Tom Brady a lot, didn't I?
You did say Tom Brady a lot. You should pretty much just chug that beer. Well, sorry, Bud Light Seltzer.
Relax. Move on.
Moving on to the next one, who we did talk about a little bit, would be Austin Ekeler, who got extended 4 years, $24.5 million and $15 million guaranteed. Now, I like the re-signing. I've always liked Austin Ekeler. I think he's an incredible playmaker and, super amazing in PPR formats. But what this to me means is Melvin Gordon is not going to be a Charger next year.
That's what one would logically come to that conclusion. Assume. Yeah. So what does this do to Ekeler? I think that he is
immediate number one.
I think he's such an amazing buy in dynasty PPR leagues. I mean, the dude caught, 92, 93 passes last year. He had 1,550 total yards and 11 touchdowns. Ekeler was just a straight beast. And the Chargers gave him that financial security. They signed him to an extension as opposed to Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? That Ekeler is going to be a part of this offense moving forward. I mean, I expect him to necessarily generate those touchdown numbers on a yearly basis. No, I think that's going to fluctuate a little bit, and he's not a thumper inside the 5. So I mean, I would expect more so like 5, 6 touchdowns a season, and every now and then he'll get somewhere around 9 or 10. But his role is secure. He's gonna see the ball. He's being paid as a weapon, not a running back. He's being paid as a weapon. So, and he's a damn good one coming out of the backfield.
Yeah. No, and I mean, I feel like just looking at his numbers, obviously they've improved over the years and he's just getting better at his craft. But I really feel like, last year he had 8 touchdowns in the receiving game. He had 3 touchdowns in the rushing game. Like you said, he's a weapon that's going to get utilized in multiple ways and a really shiny toy for any quarterback that's going to be helming at the Chargers. So I think it's a great signing to me.
It's just who is helming the Chargers is the thing.
Yeah. That's the big question. And the next big thing that we obviously want to all know is those that are going to be taking someone like Ekeler in drafts, obviously who's going to be throwing in the ball because he can do all these things and dance and all that. But, he needs a partner. So
I was going to say the only thing that makes me a little nervous about his fantasy prospects and specifically catching 90 passes or something of that nature, which he's proven capable of doing. If Tyrod Taylor ends up being the opening day starter for the Los Angeles Chargers, that man doesn't check it down. He's never seen a check down that he likes. So that kind of makes me a little weary about projecting him as like a top 20 PPR back. But certainly depending on who they bring in, if they do let, Melvin Gordon walk as we expect, depending on who they bring in, they're going to bring in somebody else that's probably more of a between the tackles thumper, I would imagine. Some early down work, but ultimately Ekeler is a weapon out of the backfield and they're going to use him a hell of a lot. So I think you can feel comfortable. If you're a dynasty owner, you got to be doing a backflip that they just gave him the contract that they did.
Absolutely. In one league, I know that I would like to try and take him off of someone's hands, but it might be a little bit harder to do that now that he's just had that re-signing. Be even harder later if he gets Tom Brady, but we'll see.
If they get Tom Brady, then you can take it to the bank that Ekeler is going to be a top 20 PPR back in 2020.
Now, I like that you said that, trying to get a running back to be the RB2 behind Ekeler and be that thumper and being all that. The Chargers do have the number 6 pick in this draft. And I think we talked about it a little bit last week, running backs we would like to see taken there. Do you think that a running back could go in that spot for them or no?
No way in hell. The Chargers have too many needs. I would say I wouldn't be surprised to see them go offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of talent in this draft, in particular at running back. So I think that they can wait if they want to go and get somebody like Zach Moss or even potentially J.K. Dobbins in the second round or beyond. So no, I don't see them going Jonathan Taylor or. I mean, DeAndre Swift is definitely not going to be the pick strictly because they have similar skill sets. So why would you spend, number 6 overall draft capital on them? And not to mention they have a need at quarterback right now. So Herbert would make the most sense.
Sure.
If assuming Tua Tagovailoa and Joe Burrow are both gone. So no, I don't see him going running back at 6.
Gotcha. As we get real close to the draft, I think it would be really fun if we put little side bets as to players that we think are going to go where.
That's fine with me.
That would be super fun. And then we can watch the draft and then see who's right and who's wrong. And we're probably both going to be wrong because, there's too many options out there for these teams.
How about a live stream for the draft?
We can do that. If I'm not in Vegas at the draft, we'll do that. We'll do a live stream and go through it.
If you're there in Vegas, I'm going to be jelly. I'm going to have jelly all over my face.
I really want to go. I think it'll be fun.
Why?
This will be awesome. They're supposed to be having the players go up to the stage on a boat across the Bellagio fountain.
That's pretty sweet. But that's also, why?
That was definitely someone drunk in like the back and they're like, okay, guys, so what can we do to make this amazing? Let's put them on boats in a fountain. Oh my gosh, genius. You are getting promoted. And the next morning they're like, did we really do that?
Yeah, we already posted it on social media.
Crap, we got to figure it out.
Damn it, Ted. Why'd you do this to us? Shit.
Sorry, man. I was drinking Jaeger bombs all night.
So what about Melvin Gordon?
But for Melvin Gordon, I mean, obviously he's on the move, but what's a good situation that you like for him? What works best for him? I mean, ... Atlanta. Oh, I like that one.
I think the Falcons. I don't think they're bringing back Devonta Freeman. And you look at the incumbents there right now. It's like Kadri Allison and Ito Smith. Mm-hmm. So, is their offensive line the greatest? I mean, certainly Atlanta. But, I mean, I love their offensive weapons on the outside with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I think they're going to let Austin Hooper hit the open market, which is a little surprising because you actually hit a home run on Austin Hooper. But, I mean, they have other places other players they need to re-sign. So, but Melvin Gordon, if they're willing to bring him in, I think he would be a very good fit in that Atlanta offense.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I think that he can do really well there. I mean, we all want to see, 2017 Melvin Gordon with over 1,000 rush yards would be super nice, especially there in Atlanta. That would just bring back the glory of that offense.
Hot Atlanta.
Bring back Hot Atlanta with that. I like that take. That sounds good to me. And then guys, thanks again for joining in the chat and giving us all your comments. Victor Jays, how many quarterbacks right now do you think are capable of running a proper screenplay for all these running back weapons?
I'm capable of running a proper screenplay. Sam is capable of running a proper screenplay. I mean,
I can do it.
What's the cap on your arm?
Oh, my arm? Yeah. I don't know. I know I can throw it like 2 houses. The houses are close here, though.
The house depends on the neighborhood. Like, we got that doesn't paint the right picture. We need to know combine results for Sam. Come on.
I was told there'd be no math.
Fair enough.
Dried Ocean joining us. What's up? My favorite fantasy show. What is up? Oh, I feel so good.
Hit me in my feels right there, Dried Ocean.
We have the best viewers. It's awesome. Tim Westby, Gordon to Miami would be sweet if not too expensive.
Oh, that offensive line.
I want to get him a little more protection than that.
Go there. I mean, as the dynasty owner of Melvin Gordon, I don't want to see him go there. I mean, is there a need? Yes.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, poor Kalen Ballage.
Oh.
Man got his opportunity this year, and it wasn't pretty.
Ballage Mirage. Victor J is also saying Hooper to Green Bay? Question mark?
Do you have any specific feelings, Victor, towards Jace Sternberger, because they did draft your boy Jace, and it doesn't seem like Jimmy Graham's going to be back, which is probably why the hoop makes a little bit of sense for Green Bay. I mean, I would like to see it. I mean, we see what it looks like when you have a premier talent at tight end in a Shanahan system with George Kittle.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Hooper is as naturally gifted as George Kittle, but I mean, I think he's on that next tier as far as, tight end pass catchers. So he was easily a top 3 guy this year to start the season when he was healthy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it would
be a
make
nice
sense.
fit.
I don't know. I think it would be a lateral move fantasy wise, though, as the Packers seem to be transitioning to a very, very balanced offense rather than one where Rodgers is just in the backyard throwing it around the yard. So,
absolutely. Which Victor says, Sam's got the Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary arm. Yeah, I do. When you need me, I can make it, but probably not every time.
You can throw Hail Marys from the 10-yard line.
How dare you? How dare you?
10-yard Hail Marys.
10-yard Hail Mary.
My arm isn't much stronger.
Got it.
I played quarterback in high school. It's it wasn't that strong. I didn't have Aaron Rodgers type arm strength. So,
all right. Well, let's move on to our next player and next rumor.
Who we got?
Peter King of NBC Sports said that Jameis Winston is likely, quote unquote, bunny quotes, likely to hit free agency. Now, as you're wearing the colors that you're wearing and rocking the flag on that hat that you're wearing,
and a helmet,
and a helmet, you got a helmet,
got a prop, baby.
How do you feel about hearing that and the follow-up rumor that Teddy Bridgewater could be moving on to the Tampa Bay Bucks?
So, Bruce Arians likes to run a vertical passing scheme.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that Teddy Bridgewater has great arm strength, or even? Would you even say he's in the top half of the NFL as far as arm strength goes?
I probably would not, but I would not want to disgrace Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's a very efficient NFL quarterback, but does he have the arm strength that Jameis Winston has? No.
It's not that Winston has a rocket arm either. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
How much more confident do you feel in Teddy Bridgewater? I mean, yeah, he had a nice 5-game stretch this year when he was pressed into starting duties. And which, by the way, we haven't even talked about Taysom Hill yet, but we may. I digress. But I just don't see – I get that you want to – if Winston is seeking a 4-year deal, trying to be paid as a top 5 quarterback, market value, and he wants to go test free agency market, he's accepting nothing less than a 4 or 5 year deal with like 30 to 40 million a year, somewhere in that range. I get why the Bucs don't want to pay him, but I just don't think Teddy Bridgewater is the better fit. I mean, Bruce Arians, if you're looking for a veteran quarterback that's proven, I mean, Bridgewater isn't that guy. I mean, he's playing behind a suspect offensive line as it is. If you were to be going from New Orleans to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, the Bucs don't have a very good offensive line, even though they pay like they do. I don't see the right fit. I don't see Bridgewater as the right fit for the Bucs. Winston, though, I mean, ask yourself, who would you rather have in a vacuum moving forward? Jameis Winston or Teddy Bridgewater?
This is difficult because I love I agree with you on everything that you say about Winston. Obviously, when it comes to volume, fantasy, value there, you just can't pass up. I mean, you have to take the interceptions with the volume, but I don't know. I feel like Teddy Bridgewater has been doing a lot of homework for a long time. He had that really, really horrible injury that he came back from, dislocated his knee, I believe, in practice, and it was a horrible injury. But he's also just been a very good, between the ears, if we're talking about quarterbacks in this sense, smart guy, really smart player, very accurate. Dried Ocean agrees. He's pretty accurate. And he would also take Bridgewater. At least he's more consistent. I just think as far as consistency and safety picks go, I like the opportunity that Bridgewater has. And I like what he's shown with New Orleans. I really want to see him go to the right team. I don't know that the Bucs are the right team for him. Like you said, I don't know if they have the offensive line for him, but I do think that he's going to be a starter next year for another team.
I'm not saying that he won't be a starter, and certainly he's worth considering. So, I mean,
Yeah.
And he did have a very nice 5-game stretch with the New Orleans Saints.
Mm-hmm.
But he was also started the preseason with the Los Angeles Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the Chargers had Phillip Rivers, who they're moving on from this year, which they probably thought that they were going to be doing unless they made a deep playoff push. So they let Teddy Bridgewater out the door.
Mm-hmm.
Why do that if you see a potential franchise quarterback?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to play devil's advocate. I mean, Jameis Winston, yes, the turnovers are absolutely mind-blowing bad. I mean, and he seems to be delusional as far as like, oh, is that bad? I'm balling. Look at my numbers. Like, no, you're not balling. You've cost us a shit ton of games this year.
I thought this was balling. Is this not balling?
He wrote his own 30 for 30. I mean, but how many 20 like mid-20s quarterbacks? I mean, I think Jameis is 25 or 26. How many mid-20s quarterbacks lead the league in passing, yardage anyways, and finish second in touchdown passes?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're telling me that he's capable of producing at that level on the National Football League, and you can't try to help clean it up? I mean, I've seen it with Jameis Winston. I'd feel more confident with him because I've never seen it from Teddy Bridgewater, man. I mean, I get it. Like, he's an accurate passer and an accurate thrower of the football. He is 100%. But what has Teddy Bridgewater ever really accomplished in the National Football League? The Vikings let him go. The Chargers let him go. The Saints with Drew Brees are letting him go.
Yeah.
Brees has got one more year. If they felt that confident in Teddy Bridgewater as their future, they'd probably move on from Drew Brees.
Yeah, which we can talk about Taysom Hill later. But Brian Drydoshin also saying, it's just the O-line that worries me for Bridgewater.
Best availability.
Yeah.
I mean, the best availability is durability in the National Football League. And, I mean, Bridgewater does have an injury past. That is worth considering behind an offensive line. And I'm telling you, I've watched enough Tampa Bay football to know that their offensive line has some issues. So Bridgewater is going to be under siege.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, it would be a lot. But, okay.
He's a good player. I just don't think he's the right fit for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's
sure. All. Okay, well, let's go on to this side then with the Winston discussion. If he is likely to hit free agency, what other team do you see him best fitting in? We can't forget he did just get LASIK, so maybe the accuracy is gonna improve. We don't know. I'm sorry.
2020 vision for the 2020 season.
2020 season.
Jameis Winston. I mean, what team do I see him being a good fit for? Probably New England. If they move on from Tom Brady. I just said it. So. But I could actually see him being a fit there. You talk about a guy that would fit in and hopefully be coached up by a guy that takes no shit from anybody and Bill Belichick, and hopefully Josh McDaniels could get him to live up to his potential. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Now, okay, on the other side then, for the Bucs, if you didn't have Winston, if it wasn't Teddy Bridgewater, who is another quarterback that you would like to see in that situation?
This is tricky because I think that Phillip Rivers would be a nice fit. I do. I don't know. I know that recently Bruce Arians just called him a guy, so it's not like they're in love with him there in Tampa Bay. So apparently Arians doesn't think he's a good fit, but I do think Phillip Rivers would be a potentially a signing that I could get behind. I mean, maybe even Ryan Tannehill. I mean, but the problem is then it gets down to dollars. And same thing with Bridgewater and Tannehill. I mean, Tannehill was ousted and let go from the Miami Dolphins, who still need a quarterback last time I checked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he fell out of favor there and for good reason. But now he goes to Tennessee, has a career renaissance.
Renaissance.
I don't even know if that's
a rebirth,
word, but I mean rebirth. Yes, a career epiphany.
Yeah.
In Tennessee, and now he makes it to the AFC Championship game, which is going to inflate his value. So do I think that he's necessarily the right guy to pay a huge contract to? No, absolutely not. But at the right price, I think Tannehill would actually be a decent fit. Given his mobility with a bad offensive line, and then with some of the weapons on the outside, and a good deep ball. Struggled with his accuracy back in Miami, but I thought he showed some nice things as far as being able to push the ball down the field during his short stint in Tennessee.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But all right, so we talked about him a little bit. We got to just talk about him now, just to knock it out. But I think we should talk about Taysom Hill. The Saints are rumored to be placing a first-round tender on Taysom Hill. I kind of know your feelings about Taysom Hill, but I would love to sit back and have a little bit of a Tate rant regarding your true feelings. Don't hold back on Taysom Hill.
So Taysom Hill is rumored to be having a first-round tender placed on him as the Saints attempt to go ahead and figure out how to sign him to an extension. Why is there such a market for Taysom Hill? Somebody, I would love, in the comments, please jump in. Sound off on Taysom Hill. Tell me what I don't see. As far as
his gorgeous smile, maybe that's it. He's got a good jawline. Maybe that's what it is.
Good jawline. Yeah, he's athletic. There's all kinds. I mean, if he had a dating profile, it would look really nice.
It would.
Then you dig a little bit deeper, and it just goes, do I really want to commit to this guy long term? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what Taysom Hill is as far as a quarterback. As a quarterback in the NFL, is he a Swiss Army knife? If I was paying him as an offensive weapon for versatility, then yeah, I get why you want to hold on to him, but I don't buy that bullshit whatsoever that Sean Payton is saying we are preparing Drew Brees, the transition from Drew Brees to Taysom Hill as our starting quarterback. My ass. Like, if you really thought that Taysom Hill was your guy, why did Teddy Bridgewater start the 5 games in 2019?
Yes.
Why?
¿Por qué? We don't know.
We don't have an answer.
No.
We don't. None. So you don't give him the reps, live in-game reps when Brees is unavailable. Yet you want him to be the successor, but you started Teddy Bridgewater in his stead. Come on, dude. Like that bullshit. I mean, yes, is he a nice piece? Is he a nice player? Absolutely. I mean, I'd respect the living hell out of Taysom Hill's game.
Yeah.
But he's not a quarterback in the National Football League that you're going to be able to build your franchise around. If somebody else disagrees with me, please tell me. But, I mean, the dude, whenever he does take snaps under center, he's either running the read option or he has 1, if not 2 progressions in his passing play reads. That's it. And you're expecting this guy to drop back 30 to 50 times a game in some situations? Hell no.
Hell to the no. No, I mean, it's also, I completely agree with you. If he was going to, he's supposed to be being groomed for Drew Brees' job. Why wasn't he the one under center, and why was it Bridgewater instead? I mean, also you're looking at his stats just for 2019 season. Is your next starting quarterback going to be having 6 touchdown receptions? No, you're not throwing the ball to yourself. This isn't a Bugs Bunny cartoon. Like, you might be athletic, but you can't play every position. So how are you going to hang your hat on someone that we haven't seen it? Like, at least we got to see what Teddy Bridgewater could do. We haven't seen it with Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill is Commodus from the movie Gladiator. Marcus Aurelius is Drew Brees. And we've got General Maximus Decimus Meridius, who is, in this scenario, Teddy Bridgewater. And Commodus is Taysom Hill, the son that is just, we're going to get to you. I promise. Like, it's us. We're going to get to you. I promise. And then when it's time to hand the keys over, it was handed over to Maximus as opposed to Commodus. Like, that's the scenario that happened. Even though Taysom Hill was, quote unquote, being groomed for command and for leading people, it was when push comes to shove, it was Maximus the guy that they chose. So for me, that's what tells me that they have no intentions of making Taysom Hill their starting quarterback. None.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of smoke, but no fire. So
I mean, yeah, you can't make s'mores on
s'mores.
S'mores.
Jeez, I mean, yeah, I just don't see it. But yeah, you can't. I don't know. It's a little bit frustrating too, because where do you take him? Or where do you put him in your lineup if you take him at all in dynasty situations? I mean, is he just going to be sitting on your bench? Just leave him on the waivers. Some of the leagues that I've been seeing are quite deep, so storing someone like Taysom Hill isn't crazy on your bench, but
he's a lottery ticket. I mean, in a deep league, that's it.
Yeah, it's a maybe. Like, you went and bought the lotto ticket, you'll probably check it months after the lotto numbers were picked and just be like, hey, I hope I got $10. Never know. Never know. Victor Jays has been going off in the comments what's your go-to bowling nickname? And he comments, mine is Ebola. That's so cute.
I have not given this any thought, Victor.
I have not either. People don't just put their name.
Now you're making me question my social life. Now I do need to go join a bowling league and immediately come up with an alter personality. So
yeah, I love that. I think that would be so much fun. Jeez. But all right, let's get back to just the last couple players we want to talk about and really focus on this one team. We're going to talk about Dallas. They seem to be in a bit of a holding pattern when it comes to decision making. Now, they still haven't re-signed Amari Cooper, and they haven't re-signed Dak Prescott. Now, if they move on from Amari Cooper, they would have given up a first-round pick to get him, and that would have been a completely wasted move on their part, in my opinion. But what do you think the real weight is for them? Is it just to stir up buzz? Do you see them re-signing both of them?
So, I mean, there is something where Bleacher Report just reported 11 minutes ago.
Oh,
Dak Prescott offered an average salary of $33 million by the Dallas Cowboys with a contract or guaranteed contract of $105 million. And this is being reported by Bleacher Report per Calvin Watkins. So we want to go ahead and cite our sources here.
Yeah, we love citing our sources.
And Dried Ocean just mentioned it. I mean, was breaking news. So Dried Ocean, thank you in the comment sections. I mean, I just read my mind. No, you actually tipped us off because we had the Dak Prescott as a guy to talk about heading into this episode. So if we're reacting right now to if this is going to be the contract moving forward for Dak Prescott, and this is huge news. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's something where we knew that the Dallas Cowboys were likely going to stay married to Dak Prescott because, I mean, you hit a home run. You spent a 4th-round pick on this guy, and he's turned into – I mean, he finished second in passing yardage behind Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say what you will about some of his individual performances this year, but he was productive. He made this offense – really, that was the reason why they stayed afloat this year was because of how productive their offense was. Did he miss did he fail to show up in some games? New England definitely jumps to mind. But, I mean, who didn't struggle against the New England defense for the most part this year?
My goodness, they were horrible. The New England defense was so good.
Right.
You just had to put a black marker through whatever score you thought you were going to get in that fantasy league with that offensive player. Just don't count on them this week.
Tough sledding. It was tough sledding against that New England defense. But,
sledding on gravel is what it was.
But I mean, if that's my reaction, now you can focus if Dak Prescott inks himself and signs on the dotted line and they figured out Dak's contract, now if you want, you can focus your attention on Amari Cooper before letting him hit the open market.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that with this signing, to me, just seeing how productive they were together, that signing is not far away either. I mean, I think we were looking for the right weapon for Dak for a while, and it looks like with Amari Cooper, they found that. He is such a consistent weapon for him, and they had such a good rapport. He was, I mean,
Dak's numbers look immensely different with Amari Cooper than without Amari Cooper.
Absolutely. I mean, this year, Dak's passing yards are 4,902, going from 3,800. That's a crazy jump.
Well, yeah, it's crazy, but also the fact you take into account that, I mean, he didn't have Cooper the prior season until the final, like 8 games of the season or something of that nature. And Prescott, his numbers have been like jumped across the board for the most part with Amari Cooper in the lineup. You give him that true number one. I mean, and it makes me wonder if you don't re-sign Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, your number one. I mean, no disrespect to Gallup, who's been productive on the other end, but he's a number 2. He's not a number 1 in the National Football League. No offense to Michael Gallup. He's a nice player, but
no, we never want to mean any offense to any of these players. It's never about them. Hey, you're a great guy.
I feel like I have to say it. It makes me feel good. Like I don't want to offend.
It's not them. It's not you. It's not you.
I mean, as a guy that tried to play in the National Football League, trust me, I tried to push it as far as I could. I didn't make it. So, I mean, these guys, I have the utmost respect for them.
Wait, you didn't make it? I've got you in one of my dynasty leagues.
Yeah. Well, you've been waiting for some numbers for a long time. I mean, if you get points for drinking beverages during podcasts, then I'm all right. But
you're the MVP.
No, I don't like the MVP either. That's
Bucks is definitely the
MVP. Bucky can down some beers way at a higher level than I can. So,
absolutely.
So the Dallas Cowboys, though, I mean, I will say that the next thing, though, they need to get Cooper locked up. And even though this is a great wide receiver draft, anybody you draft in the first, second, anywhere in this draft, I sincerely doubt that you're going to be able to get anybody that's going to replace what Amari Cooper forces an opposing defense to have to account for.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I'm just excited to see what Dak's numbers look like next year. After having a whole year of that kind of consistency, and then, taking it to the next level with Cooper, and then redeveloping, that relationship. I just think it's going to be really exciting for Dak owners, in Dynasty especially. But yeah, just his efficiency has been far better.
So. Scott, I mean, I believe this year with Scott Linehan, we saw Dak Prescott. I mean, Scott Linehan is the offensive coordinator, who they are retaining, by the way, even though they brought in Mike McCarthy as the new head coach. Mm-hmm. We saw a big step forward for Dak Prescott in 2019. Yeah. So I'm hoping that we see the same, or at least just keep the same level of production. I mean, Dak had a great year. I mean, he was a top 10 fantasy quarterback easily. And I think that if you keep Amari Cooper, then I feel great about Dak heading into this season. If you lose Amari, then Dak, I don't get the warm and fuzzies.
Not so much. No, warm and fuzzies kind of dissipate when I think of that. I don't want to think of that. I don't want to think of losing out on all those yards. Crying out loud.
Dissipate. Sorry. Continue.
I mean, Cooper also had such a successful season, under with Dak Prescott. I mean, he had 119 targets, 79 receptions, 1,189 yards, 8 touchdowns. I mean, that was the most touchdowns
he's showing up a couple games. I mean, I remember feeling like Amari Cooper just disappeared against definitely the New England Patriots. Stephon Gilmore just got into his head.
But like we said, I mean, any team going up against that defense this past year was just atrocious.
There was also some weird games like the New York Jets. He pulled himself out of the game. There was just some weird shit that went on with Amari, which is it just didn't make sense. So I'm interested to see if they're actually able to bring back Amari. Long term. Now, I mean, if you want to slap the franchise tag on him, if Dak does sign this deal that has been reported by Bleacher Report, that's one thing. But I mean, if not, and Amari goes elsewhere, I think that's probably it's gonna signal that something was going on behind the scenes that Cooper just wasn't very happy about.
Yeah, no, for sure. Victor J is joining in. If Dak leaves Dallas, he'll be that hero to zero story that with any other O-line. But we just saw the news dropping that it sounds like, according to Bleacher Report, that he is going to be getting signed today, and there will be another announcement probably shortly from ESPN to confirm that. If we were talking about Dak really needing Cooper, doesn't that show that Dak doesn't deserve that contract?
Yo, Dry Ocean, this is the day-old question with Dak Prescott. Is Dak a result of a great offensive line, one of the best running backs in the National Football League, and now a legit top 15 talent at wide receiver and Amari Cooper? I mean, how much help does Dak need? Or is it that Dak makes them great, makes his team great? I mean, like what we don't know. I was like,
the chicken before the egg kind of conversation.
Like we have a definitive answer, right, Sam?
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound like we do. But I mean, if these two things are going together really well and bring success to the Cowboys, why separate them now? So hopefully, like we said, Bleacher Report reporting right now that it looks like Dak Prescott is getting a contract to follow. I believe, Cooper will be getting that contract as well, just because if you can't separate two things that are clearly working well and having success together, that would just be crazy. But yeah, I think that, you just can't move away from something that's working. Why stop something that's working? It doesn't make sense.
Well, it depends on what your definition of working is. I mean, how many times have the Dallas Cowboys made it to the NFC Championship game under Dak Prescott? I mean, you can't blame it all on him, but
No.
And Dak seems like a winner to me. I don't think that numbers really make a difference. It's like whatever is required for them to win a football game is what Dak Prescott is going to try to deliver. It's his inconsistency this past season was a little bit maddening. But ultimately, I mean, Dried Ocean, if you're asking me my gut feeling opinion on him, his numbers this year, I agree with that statement down at the bottom of the screen, is that a lot of his yards this season in production came from garbage time where they were blown out. And Prescott was able to accumulate yards later in games, a la Blake Bortles back in I think it was 2015. But I also think that Dak is a more than competent quarterback, and we've seen progression from Dak. I mean, you can say what you want about those yards and how he got them and all that stuff, but I still think that we've seen progression from Dak from when he entered into the NFL. I thought he was just strictly a game manager, dude. He was just dinking and dunking to Jason Witten, Nicole Beasley. Now, granted, a lot of that had to do with the fact that he didn't have a true number one. Dez Bryant was not Dez.
No, he was not Dez.
He was the dead version of Dez. I mean, it was just, and then we didn't see him have a number one the following year, but they still were able to be competent on the offensive end behind Ezekiel Elliott, who served a 6-game suspension towards the end of his season. And then we saw a resurgence the following year towards the back half. I want to see them run it back with him, with Amari, with Michael Gallup. They'll probably add. You talk about a place that Austin Hooper could go to play tight end.
Yeah.
Jason Witten's gone.
Absolutely. That would be a great fit.
I think that Hooper makes a hell of a lot of sense in Dallas.
Yeah. And I like what Alex is saying here, too. The Cowboys should keep Dak, focus on improving the defense, and draft a wide receiver in this deep class. Hopefully keep Cooper if he'll take a discount. I mean, I agree. This is an incredibly deep wide receiver rookie class, and they could absolutely add another weapon. But I mean, I don't know that Cooper will take that discount.
I'm not asking. So if you're asking me, Alex, I'm not going to tell anybody that's in the prime of their career, and you know how short an NFL career can be.
Mm-hmm.
Amari Cooper's got a pick. This is his big payday. Mm-hmm. This is his big payday. Why are you going to take a discount? I mean, I wouldn't. If I was making a business decision for myself, why am I going to take a discount? I mean, in a perfect world for a Cowboys fan, yeah. I mean, yeah, come on, stay with us, Amari. It'll be fun.
Stay with us. We're going to do amazing things, but no, I mean, we'll definitely have to see.
I will say if he's trying to reset the market, then let Amari walk. he's not Michael Thomas.
No.
He's not Julio Jones. He's not DeAndre Hopkins. He's not that. He's a tier below that, in my opinion.
No, I agree with you there when it goes to as far as overall wide receiver rankings. He's definitely below those three that you mentioned for me. So, I mean, yeah, I would like to see him get paid, pay the man for, doing well, but he can't be the one that resets the market.
Where is his best fantasy landing spot if he's not a Dallas Cowboy?
He's not a Dallas Cowboy.
Eagles. Carson Wentz.
I like Eagles, yeah. That would make a lot of sense.
They need a number one.
But I feel like they're a little bit snake bitten at receiver. I feel like their receivers just keep getting hurt.
Who do they have starting there at the end of the year? I mean, I got called for a tryout. I mean, it's they had nobody. I mean, it was JJ Arcega-Whiteside, and how about that hype train that never got off the tracks?
Seriously, but Alex also jumping in. Commercial deals will help Cooper make up for it. I'm a biased Cowboys fan. We kind of figured. Alex. It's all right. You're forgiven.
Okay, at least you admitted you're a biased Cowboys fan. Like
Victor J's saying,
I heard that rationale from Emmitt Smith. Which, come on, Emmitt held out like the year after they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Victor J is also saying Cooper to New England. I mean, I would like that if Brady stayed. That would be a fantastic weapon for him. But again, this all goes back to if Tom Brady, and we'll have to drink, is going to stay in New England or not.
Yeah, stop saying that.
My bad.
You're doing this on purpose.
Dried Ocean, this seems a lot like the Rams a couple years ago. They are trying to pay everyone. This will screw up their cap. They will only have a round 2-year window to the championship. I mean, I definitely think it will. If they do that, it will keep them from, growing. It's like when you push all your chips in Dynasty. I did that this year in order to get my championship, and I got it. But did I sacrifice my future? Yep, a lot.
So I'll ask you, I mean, they had Ezekiel Elliott, that offensive line, Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. They had all these guys last year, and they couldn't win a division that was the weakest in the National Football League.
Yeah.
All Jason Garrett? I mean, Alex, please shed some light on at least your opinion on what the hell went wrong with the Dallas Cowboys this year, because why are you trying to run it back if you had at least an opportunity to get to the playoffs? I'm not saying that it would have been a tough road to go through San Francisco this year to get to the Super Bowl. But I thought that you had a chance to at least make the playoffs, and it was still Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles who won the division. I don't know. I don't know. Hey, I'm a Bucs fan, though. It sucks to be a Bucs fan, so you're in a better spot than I am.
Yes, and Tim
I'd rather have Dak Prescott than Jameis Winston.
Tim Westby jumping in. Does it work when someone says his name in chat too? Tom Brady.
Oh, you ass clap, Tim. I just hate saying ass hat, so I created my own.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
So what else do we have? I mean, talk about speculation. I mean, is there anybody else in particular? I mean, because we do have free agency that's coming up. We have some interesting names. I mean, AJ Green, it's rumored that he's going to be staying put because the Bengals are going to slap the franchise tag on AJ Green, which just doesn't even seem fair. That poor guy. I mean, just stuck in Cincinnati.
But I mean, if they're going to take Joe Burrow at number 1, does that resurrect him?
If he signs and goes on the field, you saw how it was last year.
I know how you feel about AJ Green. I
think he was just not. He was not going to come back on the football field without an extension.
Yeah, you saw him punching the clock and then sitting in the break room just texting.
He took his PTO.
Yeah.
He took his PTO. Okay, well, you're not going to, sign me past this year. All right, well, my ankle hurts.
Yeah.
That's all that I feel like that happened with AJ Green. And what's going to make you feel any different than, AJ Green wants an extension? He's going to be 32 years old. He's 31 right now. I mean,
Yeah.
and AJ Green's been the model of a franchise player when healthy. I mean, I know he's had some injuries, but pay the man. If you want to keep him, pay the man.
If you want to keep him,
your deal.
Yeah. If you want to keep him, definitely pay the man. But I don't know. To me, AJ Green's also a competitor. I feel like it would be ridiculous of him to not see the opportunity if they're going to sign someone like Joe Burrows in the draft and have that. I mean, he wants to also, if he's not going to be a Bengal, doesn't he also want to present himself as a competent receiver that can still do it to other teams?
I mean, him and Julio Jones came into the league together and
holding hands.
Almost. I mean, one went to Georgia, one went to Alabama.
Oh.
They knew each other.
They were fans.
Point is, AJ Green is, I still think, when healthy. I mean, granted, we haven't seen him in a long time.
It's been a minute.
Last time I saw him, though, he's still AJ Green, and AJ Green's a premier talent in the league. I mean, we'll see, but do I think he resets the wide receiver market? No, but even if he is set free and allowed to be a free agent, but I mean, if you want to keep him so bad, then pay him long term. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, do we have anything lined up for our final debate?
Last time we did war movies.
Oh, yeah.
We talked a little bit of Gladiator. I'm going to ask top or best movie or TV speech that gets you hype.
Oh, man.
What? I'll go ahead and jump out there.
Yeah, please do. Because I'm going back and forth between one that I think is just a joke, but I think one that I do like. So go for it.
Mine's Al Pacino in Any Given Sunday.
That's a good one.
6 inches in front of your face. I can't make you do it. Like I again, I could recite that entire speech, but I'm not going to go ahead and put you and all the viewers through that. That's my favorite speech in all cinema. I mean, that right there with the Battle of Sterling for Braveheart from Mel Gibson.
I know.
That one's so damn good too.
So damn good.
But that's mine.
I like the it's a shorter one, but I like the speech in Remember the Titans. Not Coach Boone, it was the other coach, but talking to his defense, telling them, make them remember
Coach Yost.
The night. Yeah, Coach Yost. Make them remember the night they played the Titans. And then you just saw this compilation of them just going and absolutely just destroying this team on defense. I thought that was just, I mean, it's a small speech, but I just like the power behind it. That one I liked a lot.
They won't gain another yard.
Yeah. Another yard. So good.
I'll take everyone last one of you out. You make sure they remember. No, I love that. That is a fantastic speech. That one hits home.
That was good.
So
Richard J's saying Samuel L. Jackson, Pulp Fiction. You know which one?
Ezekiel. I forget the actual numbers of the passage. The path of the righteous man. Oh yeah. Man. Oh, that strike down upon thee with great fury, or man, I forget. I have to go back and read it.
We'll have to go back and look at
that one. I will say one that gave me goosebumps was Bill Pullman as the President of the United States in the original Independence Day.
Independence Day. That one's really good. But we were talking about football movies.
No. I mean, I was saying, I mean, that's why I brought up the Battle of Sterling. I'm saying,
but I knew you were going to bring that up no matter what. Anyways, it's your favorite speech.
It's the one I can do with the Scottish accent verbatim. Yes, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, speeches in movies are just like those monologues that are just the ones that stick with you. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson's one does. In fact, it makes me so nervous that I can't even recite it properly.
Because it's a good one. All right, let's wrap up with this one from Will Jenkins, our favorite dude. Rank them: Dumb and Dumber, Super Troopers, Talladega Nights, Dodgeball, and 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Ooh, 5 of them. And I'm going to go Dodgeball at 5, Super Troopers at 4. Talladega Nights at 3, 40-Year-Old Virgin at 2, and Dumb and Dumber at 1.
Well, I definitely agree with you with Dumb and Dumber at 1. But I'm going to go Talladega Nights at 2. It's just
that dinner scene, that first dinner scene.
It's just too quotable. Like
tuxedo t-shirt. I mean, 40-Year-Old Virgin is very quotable.
It's very quotable, but as far as like impact on my life, I have to go in order of Dumb and Dumber, Talladega Nights, Super Troopers, and then 40-Year-Old Virgin and Dodgeball. Can't do that to Dodgeball. So
hope you got a huge trunk because I'm putting my
bike in it. Ew. All right, with that, let's go ahead and wrap it up. That's a great place to leave it, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, so good. We're just going to move on. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Fantasy Debate with Sam and Tate, brought to you by Fantasy Focused and the Original Hooters. If you haven't already, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Really appreciate it. And if you want to follow Derek on any form of social media, it's at dtater4. If you want to follow myself on Twitter, I'm at Samantha R. Holt, and on Instagram at Sam_awesome. Thanks again for joining us, and please be sure to join us next Saturday for another episode of the Fantasy Debate. We'll see you guys next time.
Later. Says the Tater, everybody. Have a good weekend.